You guys, next week is the 51st anniversary of the first moon landing. It was on July 20th, 1969, that astronauts first walked on the moon. On July 16th, 1969, 3 astronauts blasted off on the Apollo 11 spacecraft. By July 20th, they were on the moon. Well, 2 of them anyway. Michael Collins stayed on board Apollo 11's command module, and he orbited the moon, while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took the lunar module to the surface of the moon. The lunar module was an aircraft designed for 2 astronauts to land on the moon. Landing on the moon is tricky, since a spacecraft can go as fast as 18,000 miles per hour. On its way to the moon, it needs to slow down in order to land gently. And if there are astronauts on board, the lander needs to keep them safe from impact. Similarly, spacecraft on their way to Mars may be traveling as fast as 13,000 miles per hour when they reach the red planet, and they need to slow down to land safely on the surface. Future missions to Mars will also need to land safely so astronauts don't get hurt. Today, you'll design a lunar lander, a spacecraft that can land safely when you drop it on the floor. As you test your lunar lander, you're going to find ways to make it work better. Improving a design based on testing it is known as the engineering design process. Let's talk about shock absorption. When you land from a jump, you bend your knees when you land, right? And that helps to absorb some of the shock so you don't hurt your back or your legs when you land. That's what a shock absorber does. A shock absorber helps to control and dampen the impact that might otherwise be dangerous. It usually uses a combination of springs and cushions. What is it that absorbs the shock when you hit the golf ball? It's the grip, right? That rubber grip helps to keep your hands from hurting when you hit the golf ball. For today's activity, you are going to design a lunar lander that can absorb a shock when it lands on the ground. Part of your mission is to keep your astronauts safe inside of your lunar lander. You're going to find out that your lander is going to accelerate or speed up as it drops to the ground because of the force of gravity pulling it to the ground. You're going to want to use air resistance to slow it down and shock absorption to prevent your astronauts from being hurt when it hits the ground. You're going to design it, you're going to test it, you're going to redesign it, you're going to test it again. All of this is part of the engineering design process. And as you do it, you're going to start by dropping it from 1 foot and then see if it works. If it does, you get more confident, you drop it from higher distances, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, as far as you want to drop it from, and see if you can keep your astronauts safe inside the whole time. If you don't have the exact materials that I have, don't worry about it. You can make this project work with all kinds of things. Just be creative about it and try to make something that lands your astronauts softly so that they don't fall out. But you probably are going to need a cup and something to put inside to act as the astronauts. For me, I'm going to put 2 marshmallows inside, and those are going to be my 2 astronauts that land on the moon. Here are the materials that I'm going to use. I've got 2 different sizes of marshmallows. The big ones are going to be my astronauts, and the little ones I'm going to use as foot pads on my lunar lander. I've got my measuring tape, my regular tape. I brought cotton balls out here. I don't think I'm going to use them, but if you don't have marshmallows, these could act very well, just about the same as marshmallows, so maybe that's a substitute for you. I also have some drinking straws here, plastic straws, index cards, and rubber bands. And then I have my scissors and pencils there in case I need them. This cup here is my crew module. This is where the astronauts are going to live. And then these are my astronauts. Say hello to Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Let's go to the moon, guys. Okay. And they stay in there. Now my goal is to keep them in there the entire time. I'm going to attach a lunar lander to the bottom and have it drop. And I don't want these guys to fly out of here. But I have to keep the open side up. Okay? Once again, you don't have to do this the way that I do it, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. You be creative and do it yourself. So I'm going to take a few index cards. I'm going to have these kind of be like the bread of my sandwich, and then these I'm going to fold up so that they are like accordion style, and I'm going to tape them inside of the bread of my sandwich.
So let me just sort of fold them this way, turn it around, fold it that way.
Okay, now I have kind of an accordion here. I'm going to do it again with my other card. Cool, 2 accordions. Now I'm going to put them inside of my sandwich. Here I go. I'm not totally sure how to tape this together, but I'll try to figure it out. So this is my first attempt. Remember, it's the engineering design process. If it doesn't work, you scrap it and try a new method. So here's what I'm doing. You can see it drops. And then I made it the accordion like this because I feel like that's going to provide some shock absorption. Now I'm going to attach some straws to act as extra cushioning. So I think I'll attach them to the sides here. And maybe I'll attach them there as well. There we go. I'm going to cut off the extra tips here. I don't think I need that much straw. Cool, there we go so far. Now I'm going to take my tiny little marshmallows and I'm going to get 4 of them and put them on as a foot pads here. Marshmallows are so soft and springy. They make perfect shock absorbers. Now I'm going to tape them on. I'm never going to eat these marshmallows. These are going to touch the ground, but I have a whole bag of extras in case I get hungry. But these are for my astronauts to be safe. There we go. Marshmallows are taped on. Got the accordion inside for extra shock absorption. I have the straws here also to act as extra protection. I think I'm ready to put my crew module on. So I'm just going to tape this cup onto the top of it and then I should be ready to go. I put on 4 pieces of tape because I want it to be really secure. You can put on more if you want. Why not? You can put as much tape as you want on there. Okay, so here's my Lunar Lander. I'm just going to give it one little quick test here. Pretty good. Astronauts stayed safe inside. Now it's time for my official tests. Remember, testing it helps you to figure out what works and what doesn't. And it also helps you to see, oh, maybe something that I did could actually be better, and I can think of ways to improve my design. So don't worry about what happens on your first test, just use it as a learning process, and then you can go back and make your Lunar Lander even better. But I'm going to test mine now. And like I said earlier, I'm going to drop it from several different heights. My first test is just from 12 inches, 1 foot. So let's see if my astronauts can stay safe from that drop. 12 inches. Beautiful. I think I'm feeling confident. I'm going to try 2 feet now. Outstanding! They're staying safe inside. What about yours? And I'm going to try this from very high up and see what happens. Oh. Well, my astronauts didn't fall out, so they probably didn't die, but it didn't land that safely, and they probably got really injured. So I think I was too confident. I shouldn't have dropped it from that high. However, if I wanted to drop it from that high again, I think what I would do is I would put large sheets of paper around here, like we did almost with our parachute last week, to make it have a lot of drag and air resistance, and maybe it would fall slower and land kind of like that, right side up, so our astronauts would be safe inside. That's just one idea I have. I would love to know how yours goes.